sacrifice that he paid. We are now temples for God, for his Spirit to dwell within us. Many Christians have been waiting for the third temple to be built so that the Antichrist can go sit in it. But the theory here is, what if the body transformed through Christ is the third temple? And the diabolical deception currently underway is the first step in the rollout of the plan to install the abomination that causes desolation right within the holy place of the temple, your very own body. 2 Corinthians 6:16 says, "What agreement has the temple of God with idols? For we are the temple of the living God. As God said, I will make my dwelling among them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people." In every nation, people are being coerced into taking this supposed vaccine. The scheme, I believe, is to destroy your temple and to leave it desolated, overtaken and subjugated to an ancient enemy who has always coveted God's throne and the worship of his people. The Greek word for sorceries is pharmakia. And according to the Thayer Greek Dictionary, pharmakia is the use or administering of drugs, poisoning, sorcery, and magical arts, often found in the connection with idolatry, which is the worship of idols. Revelations 18:23 says, "For your merchants were the great ones of the earth, for by your sorcery all nations were deceived." So is it pharmaceutical deceptions that are employed to fool the whole world into a covenant that separates us from our Creator? If we look at the word corona and count up the letters in number form, it equals the number 666. But even more interesting is the word COVID-19 itself, possibly having the meaning Certificate of Vaccination ID, and 19 equaling 1 for A and 9 for I, AI. Certificate of Vaccination ID, AI. Could this be the Certificate of Vaccination ID that will be tracked by a global AI entity? Thessalonians 2:11 says, "A strong delusion will be released so that the people will believe the lie." The word for delusion comes from a Greek root word meaning deceiver or impostor. The Dark One desires nothing more than to remove God's image and replace it with his own. Revelations 13:15 through 18 says, "The second beast was permitted to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship it to be killed. And the second beast required all people, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of its name." Here is a call for wisdom. Let the one who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man, and that number is 666. By taking this vaccine, I believe you become a part of their system. A fully standardized data collection and retrieval, AI, powered 5G tracking system through the use of an element that mysteriously showed up in the jab. Graphene oxide, an electrically charged nanoparticle. The atomic number for graphene is 6. It is a group IVA element residing between boron and nitrogen on the periodic table, and it is comprised of 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. It is important to note that graphene in its purest form is 95 to 99% carbon. Graphene is a single thin layer of graphite that has incredible abilities such as flexibility, transparency, impermeable to most gases and liquids, and is an excellent conductor of electricity. By late 2017, scientists had developed a method of combining graphene's flexibility with terahertz detection, a unit of frequency creating electromagnetic waves, so as to make it possible to connect to the Internet of Things. Could this be the means by which we are connected to the system, monitored by our very own cells, sending back signals, calculating everyone's potential contribution or threat to the system, to show whether or not we've been a good citizen for the New World Order, for the all-seeing eye, for the beast AI system? That is for you to decide. But I will leave you with this. Guard your temple and keep it holy. Do not allow it to be breached. Be a lover of truth. Seek truth. Desire it. Go after it and hunger for it. For those who do not love truth will fall prey to the strong delusion that is currently wrapping its tentacles around the entire planet. If you believe in the blood price that Jesus paid for you, then you already have something greater within you than any 5G network. Your eyes have been opened, and you desire for the Spirit to work within you and through you. John 14:26 states, "But the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have said."
50.23 and 24, it is illegal to make anybody participate in an experimental program using coercion. That is, in fact, how in U.S. law, we actually embraced in U.S. law the Nuremberg Code. So coercion is illegal, and we need to call it coercion. We don't want to call it leverage. We don't want to call it pressure. We want to call it the illegal act that it is. It's coercion. And that becomes important because under 18 U.S. Code, section 2331, and then subsection 802, inside of the definition of domestic terrorism is any time a U.S. citizen or a government in the U.S. is forced to do something that it would not otherwise do. That's also not only coercion, but domestic terrorism. Now, this conversation and every other conversation, I encourage people to, in fact, take those two laws, and when they are met with somebody telling them they're supposed to get the shot, actually ask the person and record this. Use your phone, use a recording device, record the conversation, and ask if they are in fact violating 21 Code of Federal Regulations, section 50.23 and 24. Are you interested in doing a civil violation of the law? And if they say yes, they're cool with that, then say, are you willing to violate 18 U.S. Code section 2331, which says that it is illegal to coerce a population, and that is a felony, and the felony has a 99-year prison term with it.
Wow.
And so here's the problem. We need to arm ourselves as a big community to not only do what we've done, and by the way, kudos to everyone who has done the resistance up until now. But now we have to arm ourselves with the very weapons they're using and throw them back. I always say the metaphor for me is if somebody throws a hand grenade at you, pick it up, pull the pin out, and throw it back. They've given you the hand grenade, use it. What we need to be doing is we need to be informing ourselves, and most recently, Patrick, and this will be a punchline I get to at the end, but I just put all of the felony statutes and all of the felony evidence into a single document that everybody can use, everybody can reference, and just go to your employer, to your local grocery store, to your local theater, to your local school board, whatever it is, just say, hey, which one of these felonies do you want to be implicated in? Because all of them carry 99-year prison terms and up to $100 million fine. So, and that's $100 million fine for an institution. So it's actually a big deterrent. And as we have been manipulated and coerced as a population, we now need to actually take the offensive position and say, stand up, be informed, and provide the 8 felony counts that you can ask any employer, any business, anybody who's trying to push the mandate, which one of these felonies do you want to now be liable for?
That's brilliant. And I like the idea of going on the offense. You know, I mentioned earlier, I think our last line of defense, or one of our last line of defense, are going to be the courts. You know, we got to get away from the executive branch. You know, we're very dysfunctional in our legislative branch. But the courts, you know, shooting down the mandate, you know, the Biden mandates, et cetera, I think they are our last line of defense. I'm always, you see me smile or kind of chuckle as you're quoting line and verse on these statutes. You know, it's like how you have all this stuff in your brain is amazing to me. Is there a way that people can get access to the documents you described?
Well, there you go. I feel like I just entrapped you because I told you there is a thing. It turns out if you go to either of my websites, fullyliveacademy.com, that's Fully Live Academy, all one word, fullyliveacademy.com, or davidmartin.world. If you go to either of those two and click on the Attorney General link, what you'll get is actually the criminal indictment template, which has all 8 felony counts that are actually listed right there. And you can download those, as I encouraged people to do yesterday. You can print them off. You can send them certified mail to your U.S. attorneys, to attorneys general in your state, to elected officials in your state, to school boards, to anybody who's doing a mandate, and say, you are now on notice of felony violations. And guess what? Like you just said, the courts are, in fact, going to ultimately deal with this issue. And if you have gathered evidence in your own coercion, in your own manipulation of the things that have been foisted upon you, you will actually be part of the class that one day recovers those damages. So I say stand firm, inform yourself, get evidence, and take action.